Welcome to Create Personal Equity, our weekly webinar. Great to have you on. This is Jonathan Geyer with my guest or with my partner, Randall Wimmer. Uh, okay, let's jump into quick introductions. Today, we are going to talk about artificial intelligence in the world of personal branding. Why? Because it's a significant conversation. It's Randy and I were talking, preparing for this conversation here, and I've had a bunch of people reach out to me. I have 29,000 followers on LinkedIn. I've had a bunch of people reach out to me and ask me for my take on how artificial intelligence will impact the personal branding industry, the personal branding market. We're going to speak to that today. Uh, Randall, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Randall Wimmer. I am a big believer in artificial intelligence as a tool, but not as anything else beyond that at this point. And just to kind of give you my 2 cents, worth on artificial intelligence up front before I forget, and that is that artificial intelligence is a great tool to augment your personal branding strategy, but where most people fail and where most people get confused with artificial intelligence is they think that artificial intelligence can be their personal branding. It can be their personal marketing, and it's not. It's just a tool. It's just like, it's just like having a hammer, or even better, a pneumatic hammer. It's going to help you build a house, but that hammer is not going to build your house for you. It can help you build it faster, but if you're trying to build a house without a blueprint, without a strategy, you're going to fail, and you're going to fail miserably, because if you're trying to use tactics to develop a strategy, you're going to fail every single time. Every single time. There's a big difference between tactical tools and strategic thinking. And, artificial intelligence, it is fully aligned with a tactical tool.
It's mass production, right? Without the confirmation of what you're producing good, right? Like it's
Yeah.
you can produce a lot of it, but if nobody wants it, well, now you got a lot of crap. You got a
Yeah,
lot
you're
of stuff.
right. Yeah, I see it all the time. Not to kind of blend topics here, but I see this all the time in government contracting.
Nice.
People are now starting to, they're starting to crank out proposals left and right by having AI write it. And you know what? AI will write it. AI will write you a 20-page proposal. You know, is it going to win? Absolutely not. And the reason why is because, you know, AI will write you a grammatically correct proposal, but it doesn't know what needs to be in that proposal to win. And, and that's where your strategy comes in. You got to have win themes. You got to have discriminators, differentiators. You've got to demonstrate your understanding. You got to have risk mitigators in there. You have to have evaluated strengths in order to have a highly competitive proposal. And that requires, the human in the loop. No artificial intelligence is going to be able to think at that high level in order to do that. People always say, yeah, but you got Watson, and hell, it can beat these grandmaster chess players. And the reason why I can do that is because there are a finite number of moves in chess.
Yes, sir.
Watson, these supercomputers, they're not thinking; they're just running through a gazillion different move variations. That is it. That is not the case when you are dealing with other human beings. You're not, that AI is not going to pick up on their subtleties. They're not going to pick up on the innuendos. It's not going to pick up on those type of things. It's just going to go in there with a hammer, just boom, 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 boom. It doesn't know. It doesn't pick up irony, sarcasm, and things like it. It completely misses the human element. And will it get better and better and better? Yeah, I'm sure it will, but it'll never be able to develop a strategy. It can help you develop the strategy, but it'll never be able to say, this is basically how people are trying to use AI right now. AI device, whatever it is, ChatGPT or whatever, say, create a plan for me to become a millionaire. Okay.
Which is the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like create a plan, do it. Now, if AI was successful doing that, there'd be a lot of millionaires running around right now, and there isn't. because AI can't say, okay, AI make me a millionaire. It just can't do that. That requires a higher level of thinking. It requires a strategy. And one of the easiest and the fastest way to accomplish those goals, and a major component of any strategy that you have, should be your personal brand, because your personal brand is your biggest tool in your toolbox when it comes to accomplishing your professional or personal goals.
When you slap a chronological kind of perspective on top of that, it's a big deal right now. It's a big deal before, but in the future, it's an even bigger deal.
Yeah.
Like it's expanding. Oh, well, now I'm picturing it like a space-time expansion. Like the
Yeah.
framework itself is expanding because AI has changed the playing field. It's not one person with AI, it's everybody now has AI.
Yeah.
What comes next?
Well, that's why I tell the people in Government Contracting Academy, like saying, like, uh, AI makes knowing how to write a winning proposal even that much more important. Why? Because there's going to be a
Oh,
lot more
good point.
proposals out there. Because anybody can say, "Hey, write me a 20-page proposal and submit it for me." Boom, done. And it can be done literally in a couple of hours. You can have a massive proposal written in a few hours if you just let AI just write it all, and they're not going to win. But what you've got to do is you've got to stand out from the chaff. You've got to really separate what you're doing at such a high level to differentiate that whole field of chaff, of just poorly, they're grammatically correct, they're correctly written grammatically, but they're going to score poorly because they don't know how to do the things um, that a human knows how to do in order to be able to write a winning proposal. And it's the same way with personal branding. Hell, it's probably even more so with personal branding, because personal branding, that is like 100%, dealing and engaging with your network. And because your network are force multipliers. And that's what a lot of people don't get about, personal branding. They say, well, I'm not even sure I need to know what personal branding is, and all that. The way I explain it to people is you have a network that is empowering you, enabling you, and accelerating your success. They are force multipliers on your behalf. Now, again, these force multipliers, you have different kinds of them. You have advocates who are going to advocate for you. You have enablers who are going to help you learn and achieve whatever you need to do in order to be able to get to that point. And then you even have mentees where you can actually support and be observed, being the person who gives back to the community, who's got good, strong character, and those type of things. So, again, AI can help you do those things, but that is a sophisticated strategy that you have to develop. How do you identify the network that can help you achieve? And then more importantly, how do you engage with that network to empower them and encourage them to help you achieve your professional goals?
A thought that popped into my mind as I was active listening, but that this came up as when I'm hiring. I've been in hiring roles forever. When I'm hiring, if I can't find any information on a candidate, it's a negative. It's not a positive. It's not neutral. It's a negative. Like
Yeah.
in the term I use, confusion's negativity. Well, whatever. If I don't know what's going on, it's negative. If I don't, if yeah, something is better than nothing, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, so with that, it is in everybody's best interest to start putting out content, because something, for no other reason other than nothing is the worst case state. Something is better, which the kicker being, if you're putting out fluff, if you're putting out bad stuff, like that's the second degree negative, right? Like,
Yeah.
because you got to put something out, and then how do you know what you're putting out is good, right? Or yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And and it's and that's what a lot of people, from what we have seen, that's where a lot of people, that's one of their biggest mistakes. They feel like, personal branding is just throwing out content left and
That's the
right
average,
without,
right?
yeah,
That's the mean.
without direction. And that's what a lot of folks are doing. But for the types of professional goals that most of the people that we work with, want to achieve, uh, throwing out a whole bunch of content will give you an impression. People will have an impression of you, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the one that you want to have in order to achieve your goals. And that's not necessarily meaning that you're putting out bad content. You're putting out content that's not aligned with your network, um, and your professional goals, and completely different things. It's, for example, you could have a passion, you could have an interest. My sons are into fencing, and I could have the biggest fencing channel in the world, and I could be putting out the most incredible, wonderful content for fencing. But how is that going to help me get that CEO level position at IBM? Like, how is that really going to do it? And now they're going to have people looking at me, and they're going to say, well, gee whiz, he's so obsessed with fencing, he doesn't even have time to be the CEO of an IBM.
Good call.
So the deal is you could be putting out great content, but it can actually, work against you, because you're not sending out the signals, the information to influence your network in the way that they need to be influenced to advocate for you. And it's you got to start with your end goals, and you got to work backwards. And AI will not help you do that. AI is great for reviewing your content to make sure that it's grammatically correct. It's good for maybe creating an image that you don't have to worry about whether or not it's copyrighted or anything like that. There are certain things that AI does really well to help streamline your day-to-day activities, but it can never, ever, ever, develop the strategy that you need in order to be effective. It's just like a blueprint for a house. You have to have a blueprint. Doesn't matter how great of a nail gun you have. You can nail it, boom, 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 like crazy, but your house is going to fall down. And that's what AI is. AI is a pneumatic air gun. Boom. It can really help you nail some stuff up pretty quickly, but without a blueprint, it's no more effective than anything else.
I pictured riptides when you were describing that, like swimming. How do you know the direction you swim matters? Like it's a life and death. Yeah.
No, that's so true. Yeah, that is so true. So again, most people, they think tactically, and when they're really trying to develop a strategy, and that you are going to fail every single time if you are thinking tactically when you're developing your strategy. And AI is the most tactical thing going. That's how you create efficiency. That is how you just punch out things as quickly as you can. And there's some merit to AI in being able to help you increase your efficiency. But if you think AI, you're making that classic mistake of, I am thinking tactically to develop a strategy. And again, it's just not going to help you out.
I know when you first mentioned the difference between strategic or tactical and strategic, it took me a bit to absorb that. That might be worth describing a little bit more here. Like, what do you mean when you say tactically and not strategically, or define the difference?
That's a really good question. Geez, maybe that should be an entire session that we were talking about the difference, because that is really good. But let me take a quick step at it now. Strategy is trying to figure out ultimately what you want to achieve. And that sounds something, really easy. Like, hey, I want to make money. I want to be successful. Okay, you want to be successful. Okay, what does that mean? I don't know. That's the very first, because I get that question a lot. I get that response a lot. I'm like saying, like, okay, what do you want to achieve? And people say, hey, I want to be successful. I want to be successful in business. Okay, what kind of business? What does success mean to you? Does success mean that you work for yourself and you've got 100% autonomy and you get to work from your laptop, wherever you want in the world? Is that success to you? Or success, wanting to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company? Or is it, you want to launch your own company? Or do you want to, it's just purely financial? Whatever it is, it's different. And then what you do is you start at the very top, and you got to peel that layer over and over and over. It's an onion, and you got to go through, okay, what does success mean? Well, success means that I'm going to be, the owner of my own startup, and I'm going to, so what does success mean, from a financial standpoint? Oh, I want to make at least this much money. Okay, so what kind of startup do you want to have? Oh, I think it should be in this industry, but I don't know. I don't know if that industry is going to make me enough money. And so there's all kinds of enough, you really got to peel that onion. And there's lots of tools out there to help you identify what you don't know. That right there is the linchpin. That is the cornerstone to strategy. Learning what you don't know, because you don't know what you don't know. So how do you learn what you don't know? That's like an impossibility. How in the world could you ever do that? Where there are tools out there that can help you. There's the 5 whys.
Nice, good call.
Like, why do you want to launch a federal government company? Why are they going to buy your product? So you just ask why 5 times, and then about everything that you think you know about what you want to do, ask why 5 times, and you'd be really, really interested to see what what some of those answers are to the fifth why question. Like, why? Oh wow, gee whiz, why are they going to do that? Well, because I have differentiators, I have discriminators, or I've got this. And the other tool is the who, what, where, when, why, and how. And very similar to the 5 why tool, but every single question you ask, like how do I reach the people, that can help me? Okay, now the next question is right, ask the who, what, where, when, why, and how about that one? How do you reach those people? Okay, who are those people? Where do these people congregate? When are they most available? So you start asking those questions and you really resurface those things. So in order to get your strategy, that is the thing that rarely changes. It changes very slowly. And so that's the one piece, that's the foundation of every single thing that you do, is that strategy piece. This is what I want to achieve. That's the foundation of your pyramid. And everything else is built on top of that. And so if you get your strategy wrong, like, oh, I thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but in fact, what I really wanted to do is I really wanted to be an influencer, or I wanted to be this, but I really wanted to be an author. That's what's really important to me. Or I really wanted to do this, but I'm really, actually, I don't care about that. I'm really interested in the money. So you've got a financial goal rather than, what I would call a prestige goal of saying like, hey, I want to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, that kind of stuff. So, if you get that wrong, every single thing that you do on top of that, is for naught, if you get that wrong. So that's the one thing you got to get right. Now, the tactics is how you achieve that strategy. It's the details. It's the specific things that you do. For example, maybe you need to launch a nonprofit organization to be seen by advisory boards and boards of directors who are considering, their next CEO candidate. Like, hey, they need to see me. They need to see me giving back to the community. They need to see me in a strategic leadership role. They need to see me, having strong character. And, if you're launching a nonprofit organization, those are typically the things that are projected to that type of network member. So launching a nonprofit organization that's aligned with your, with your network, that is a tactic. That's not a strategy. That's just one of the ways that you are implementing that strategy. And that's the difference. Tactics are like, again, getting back to that home building, your blueprint is your strategy, and your tools and your lumber, those are your tactics. Hanging up drywall, laying foundation, those are tactics. But the strategy is the blueprint. This is the blueprint of this house.
Running with this a little bit, we have 12 minutes left in this presentation here. So strategy, would you agree strategy is more important, or to recap, would you agree strategy is more important than the tactics?
Oh, absolutely. Without having the right strategy in place, it's kind of like this. It's like you want to go somewhere. Where do you want to go? I don't know. So you start driving. So your tactics are driving and turning lefts and turning rights. Those are your tactics, but you don't even know where you're going.
Oh my God, that's a good one.
Yep. You know what I mean? It's just like, without a strategy, you're never going to get to where you want to be because you've never identified it. One of the things that I've used, and I've used very successful, is a tool that we use in Create Personal Equity. It's called the DADDY framework. You got your starts out. DADDY is an acronym, DADDEE, and the first D is dream or desire. What's your dream or desire? That's Boom. That's where everybody starts. Everybody has a dream, but your dream is not your end state. I may have a dream to be financially independent. Okay. Having that, you can't work off trying to be that. So ultimately, what you got to do is you got to go to the next phase, your analysis phase, and you got to figure out, okay, where am I best suited to achieve, significant financial wealth? Like, hey, well, you got this skill, you got this skill, you got this skill. The federal government looks really good, and this looks really good. Real estate looks really good. Boom, 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 boom. So then you do all this analysis, and then what you do in the design phase is you design your end state. With all that information that you just collected, using those tools like the 5 whys and the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and doing all that research, now you design your desired end state, or you define your design, your desired end state. And that is I want to launch a federal government contracting company that provides IT services, and operate as a service disabled veteran owned small business. Boom. That's your end state there, not your dream. You took your dream all the way down to now you got something actual. Federal government, IT services, special set aside category, that. So, and now you got your end state, then you develop a plan that's going to be comprised of nothing but tactics to get you there. One tactic would be doing massive outreach, getting discriminators that's going to differentiate you from your competition, and so on and so forth. So now you've got a plan. And, with your massive outreach, you're telling all these business development executives with big companies that have got to use small businesses as part of their subcontracting program. You're telling them that you've got, ISO 9001 and ISO 27001, putting you clearly in the top 1% of all small businesses in the country. Like, wow, okay, that's a tactic. That's a tactic to do that. So that's your plan, and then you execute it. You execute the plan. Now, when you execute the plan, it's kind of like when you're on a diet. When you're on a diet, what do? You weigh yourself. Those are your key performance indicators, your weight. Maybe it's your blood pressure. Maybe it's your body, fat index or whatever it is, or body mass index. Your BMI, whatever it is. You start collecting these key performance indicators, your metrics of performance, and then the next phase, you're using those in the evaluation. See, it's like, whoa. I said that I needed to reach out to over 1,000 business development executives, and I only reached out to 15. What the hell's going on here? I need to improve that, or I'm never going to get to where I need to be. And then you start changing things like, well, maybe I need to change the way I'm reaching out to these people. Maybe I should use an email automation tool, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of walking you through all the details. So, the very bottom of this framework is actually telling you, you're making decisions on what kind of tools to use. But at the very top of it, it starts with your dream.
And, I would like to highlight that this is a $2 billion strategy here. You just referenced government contracting, your world of field. I asked you to describe that a bit ahead of time. Why? Because the strategy that we're prescribing within Create Personal Equity has already been proven successful. Like it's a higher level. I'm not sure how to.
Yeah, it really is. Because everybody thinks you need a business plan to be successful in business. You don't. You need a business model. You need something that you can learn from and iterative. And who every one of us is a small business owner. Every single person in the world, and their business is themselves. It's their own personal brand. Everybody manages that. Whether they launch a small business or not, whether they're an author or not, whether they're a coach or not, or a realtor or not, they could be a secretary or a personal assistant, or they could be a plumber. But whatever it is, we all have our own personal brand that will make that will enable us to be successful either professionally or personally. That's the biggest thing that you got going for yourself is your brand, how people perceive you, your network of people. There's a saying that your net worth is your net work. You know what I mean? And it's so true. Like, for example, if you're a plumber and you've got aspirations of being the head plumber of a company or something like that, or the chief of operations at a plumbing company, and you've got a strong network of people who know that you're just the best person in the world, you're the most reliable, you get the job done over and over and over, 100% trustworthy, guess who's going to get the promotion when when there's an opportunity that's popping up? You are, because of your network, because people see you for who you are. And without and buddy, I learned that lesson the hard way. I had just sold my third company, and in the federal government contracting industry, became a deca millionaire, and and so here I am. I'm thinking like, hey, I've kind of I was I did pretty okay there for a while, and all this in like about a period of about 4 or 5 years, selling three companies and doing X and doing Y and being recognized for this. And so I thought like I'll just sit back and I'll just watch all these great opportunities come my way. And then I realized I realized after no opportunities came in that nobody knew of me. I had no brand, none, no personal brand whatsoever. And I had all the accomplishments. I had the resume, but I didn't have the brand. And there's a big difference. And so like I said, we're all individual, CEOs of our own person, and that's what we do.
We are in our last 4 minutes here, and a thought that I was active listening, but a thought that popped into my head is like the default constraints of what we're talking about, the default constraints of personal branding. It is scary to put yourself out there. Like most people don't put themselves out there. Very similar to public speaking. They say it's the greatest fear. It's scarier than death. Like there's a default pushback, internally from putting yourself out there. And I'm saying this outwardly to encourage our audience to kind of face that fear. That's what Randy's speaking to now. Like first, like once you mentally decide that yes, personal branding is obviously the best thing you can possibly do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John, I'll give you a perfect example.
Nice.
I don't want to get political, but there's a lot of people saying like, hey, this is so wrong. You got all these uber rich people, they're making tons of money, and then you got the normal people here. We're barely making enough money to survive, and you hear that a lot. And there's a
I like where this is going. Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of there's a lot of truth to that statement. There's a lot of people there, but here's the reality: most of the people pay their employer to sit in that seat that they're sitting in. They pay to sit in that seat. And nobody believes me when I say that, but most people do that. Why do I say that? Because most people, they would prefer sitting in that seat in a comfortable job, in a comfortable routine, doing stuff that they're comfortable doing, rather than to actively look for a new job where, statistically speaking, you get a 15% pay increase. So they forego that 15% increase in pay because they don't want to go through that discomfort of looking for a new job and starting in a new place and sitting in a new seat and learning new people and new routines and all that kind of stuff, and the discomfort of telling your current employer that you don't want to. And also the real big one is they don't want to go and interview for a job and then be turned down for it.
It hurts. It hurts.
Yeah, all those things are negative. Yeah. So people they're saying that they want to do better, but when they're given the opportunity to go out to change their job for a 15% increase, the overwhelming majority won't. And that I don't think I'm getting political or anything like that. And
it's factual.
And not everybody do. And I get that. Because I'm gonna have people coming off the top rope saying like, hey Randy, some people don't have opportunities to change their job. That's the only job of it. I get that. But I'm talking about for those that do have the the opportunities to do that, they don't. I've known people who have sat in the same job for 20 plus years and they get inflationary cost of living pay increases, and they never advanced their career. They've never increased significantly their salary because of that, but they're also the very first to complain that they're not making hardly any money. What they've done is they've cashed in their earning potential for comfort. And it's, and that's something that you got to overcome. You got to step in that arena. You've got to step out there to say, I am willing to go through some discomfort to achieve my goals. And you'd be surprised. I'm not talking about a 15% pay increase as being your goal. I'm talking about doing something massively, important to yourself. launching a company,
Life
writing
changing.
a book. Yeah, life changing. If it's financial, creating generational wealth for your family. That's the kind of dreams I'm talking about. That's where a personal brand can help you achieve. And it's not as hard as what people think it is. The hardest step you'll ever take is the first one. That's so true. You take that first step towards any one of those goals, you're going to realize that your second, third, fourth, fifth, and however many more that you need to achieve it, they're all easier than the first. You take the first one, you've done the hardest thing.
Would you agree? We're at time here. That's a summation of what we're trying to express to our audience here. That first step.
That first step. You take that first
Step
step
out of the lander.
Well, I will say this, that when it comes down to business, because that's kind of where I cut my teeth is in the entrepreneurial world. Making your first dollar bill as an entrepreneur is half as hard as becoming a millionaire. If you make your first dollar bill as an employee of your own company, you have literally done half the work necessary to become a millionaire. Most people don't realize that. It's that first step, that first dollar bill, the first everything. You got to overcome inertia, because inertia is what's keeping you in your, where you are right now. And if you're not happy with where you are right now, you got to overcome that inertia, and that's difficult to do. But getting back to the main topic, just to kind of wrap up AI,
Yes, sir.
AI is not, it's not the magic pill. It's not like, oh, AI is going to make me successful. AI is going to make me wealthy. AI is going to help me achieve my goals. AI is never going to help you take that first step. AI is never going to help you develop the strategy. But this is what AI can do for you. AI can make the day-to-day, rote activities that you have to do so much easier, so much more efficient, so much more effective. And that's the tool that AI is. It takes the day-to-day grind piece of it, and it makes it very, very manageable.
It amplifies you. Like you still personally got to do it. And then it builds you up. It amplifies.
Yeah, that's a nice way. Yeah, it's a force multiplier. But again, you've got to do the things you got to do first. You got to take the first step. You got to develop the strategy. You've got to do it in a very structured way for you to start from your dream, and you develop a strategy to get there, a roadmap. You just can't say, hey, I want to drive west. You may be in California. That is not the direction you want to go if you're in California. West is bad. So it can't. It's got to be a destination. You got to be able to pinpoint a destination, and without that destination, you're never going to be able to get there. If you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there.
I like it. Let's end it with that. Got to have a destination. And AI can't do that. Like it's 1,000 years. It's not going to be. That's a thing. Yeah.
And it won't take the first step for you. That's you. You got to take the first step.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, what a great episode. I look forward to our conversation next week. This was awesome. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.